on the World TV, Disputed Lands. Ian and I are very stoked tonight to have on for the very first time our special friend and my bunkmate this year at Take on the World, him and his son, Rob Blackwell. But before we get into that, folks, I got some news this afternoon that once again that there is going to be a trial as to whether or not Take on the World 20 can happen. I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but there's already obstacles being thrown in the way. So I'm asking the Take on the World family to join me in your prayers for this next year's conference, because there are once again obstacles to be overcome if it's going to take place. So all of you need to be on your hands and knees prayers. There's not a lot of details. You don't really need them. All you got to do is know that we need to lift up this year's Take on the World conference. Now, that being said, tonight we have, again, like I said, our very special guest. I'm joined by my co-host Ian, of course, but our special guest, Rob Blackwell. Rob, welcome to Disputed Lands.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me. Such an honor to be here with you.
Ian, how's your week, brother?
Yeah, no, my week's been good. Been busy working and stuff like that, but I've been getting my studies done, getting time with the family.
That's good. That's good. I was just seeing Rob's face again. He was my bunkmate. I had Doug Krieger, and then we had Rob and his son. I forgot your son's name, Rob.
Yeah, it's Owen.
Rob. We had Rob and Owen. They were my bunkmates this year. They brought snacks in there. So like I had food over at the conference center, and then when I escaped back over here, they brought like a trunk load of snacks over there for the cabin and everything. So he even fed us. And they were like it was like their cabin, and we got this. They were hosting us in there. I mean, they were just like the best bunkmates ever. So that was a lot of fun. Got to know Rob a little bit more this year. Last year, I only saw him when he was worshiping. I think I shook his hand once, and that was about all I got to talk to him. This year, I got to hear a little bit more of his story and his testimony. And I think, Rob, that's what we talked about beforehand. We're going to have you do a little bit if you could. He's going to play some worship for us and some singing for us as well. But Rob, you've got a real powerful testimony of, some of your background, which we shared on the kind of the advertisement for tonight's show. But there's another story, a part of your testimony that happened just recently. It's in the last couple of years here as well that has really sent some challenges your way too. So I know you can share a little bit about that. But
Sure.
As far as that goes, we'll just launch right into it. Tell us about Rob Blackwell. Who is he? How did he come to be who he is today?
Well, I guess our part of the story starts when I was 16. Like my 16th birthday is when I had never really set foot in a church. We stopped going when I was like 4 years old. I don't really remember a whole lot. And so I remember driving to a church in Morehead City, North Carolina, that first weekend of my 16th birthday, because I just knew that this, there was something more, right? And so, and through that, leading worship, touring with small acts, big acts, all that good stuff. Just always had this sense of something's not quite right. Something's not quite how would you say kosher, if you will, with the way that we observe our faith. And I always had questions, but they were always squelched. And so anyway, fast forward to maybe about a decade ago, my wife and I started asking some super hard questions of our faith. And we decided to box everything up we knew and put it on a shelf and start taking it down kind of one piece at a time. And so in doing that, really found that, hey, there's a chasm. There's something between how we do what we do and what the Bible says to actually do. And so about 4 years ago, we went into this and we said, you know what, like in reading it, when we were studying Exodus together as a family, just reading and saying, why don't we do Sabbath? This is crazy. Like, we say it's a Sabbath, but I've been a worship pastor for 20 years. I don't get Sundays off, you know? So it's not Sabbath. So we started looking at it, and the more we dove in, the more we said, you know what, like, none of this makes sense anymore. And so we kind of went to a point where we said, we're going to do the feast. We're going to do the holidays that the Bible says to do. And that's it. And so from there, we started learning, you know, we learned what food was. We learned what days were. You know, I mean, it was that kind of elemental, right? Just in our, you know, in our walk. And so we started learning kind of what this stuff really meant and really was. And so through that, a lot of people we never thought would ever talk to us about this have come forward and said, hey, we're really interested in how you guys do what you do. And then, of course, as you guys know, a lot of people that we thought would be super excited about how we do what we do, a lot of those folks just kind of fell by the wayside. And you know, I don't want to say persecute. That's a strong word with strong connotation, but you know, started to really kind of show backlash against how we observed our faith from there. And so, you know, we decided about 4 years ago that the Torah was the true word of God, was the absolute, in fact, very word of God. And so we said, you know what, we're gonna start mashing up everything we know in our New Testament and our Tanakh to this Torah and see if it holds up. And so, you know, of course, going through all that, you know, with the whole thing with Paul and some of Peter's stuff, we kind of said, hey, does this hold water? And so the more we started diving into it, the more we realized there's so much more of a broad spectrum to our faith that we had no clue of, that was either hidden from us nefariously or was hidden from us by default. And so anyway, it really shook us. And so fast forward to last year, this time, we had Hurricane Florence come through our area. It absolutely obliterated our area. 1/3 of our homes in the town I live in, 1/3 of our homes were absolutely destroyed, uninhabitable. We had something like 10,000 automobiles that were flooded. I mean, it was ridiculous. And so we evacuated from that and went to Tennessee and came back. I remember coming back. We had everything we owned in our van that we cared about anyway. And we came back and I had like 20 gallons of chainsaw oil I rode for like 2 hours, you know, to bring back so that people could cut their way out and everything. It was a nightmare. But anyway, it was right around Sukkot. And so, you know, I said, well, hey, instead of throwing up our sukkah in the backyard, let's do it in the front and feed people. So, you know, we got to feed our neighborhood for 4 days of Sukkot, which was incredible. Just unbelievable. We were one of 2 houses in my direct neighborhood that didn't get flooded. The water stopped at my property line. I mean, it's like, you know, I'm not a big, like, you know, run down the aisles, you know, snake handling guy, but I do believe that God uses things like that. And so, anyway, fast forward to 11 days later, and we get in a car accident, and I'm laid up for a few months. No broken bones or anything, but really major whiplash, kind of a pretty bad head injury. So, but kind of getting out of that now, which has been great. I can have a conversation. I can actually talk on air with you guys and not sound like a bumbling idiot. Well, well, I guess the jury's still out on that, but we can at least make coherent points and stuff like that, which for a while was pretty bad. I don't remember a lot from the middle of October through the end of the year. I just don't remember a whole lot. So, but through all that, God has been good, and we have just been plugging along.
That is that's really hard to, I think, fathom. I mean, I know that we have listeners and stuff that have probably been through similar things, but when you think of something so potentially life altering as an automobile accident like you suffered, and to really just lose a whole quarter of a year of your life in there like that, almost die, really probably kind of sets some things in perspectives. I mean, you told us a little bit of story about your journey about your faith, but that's not the whole story. I mean, as it says in your bio there, you were on your way to becoming one of the well-renowned, recognized, famous musicians as well. How did that come about? Where did that take place? I mean, that's in there somewhere.
Yeah. That's I'll be honest, man. As we're in between like 3 major military bases. I'm sorry for the helicopters flying over.
I can't hear them, so you're good.
Yeah, awesome. It's the sound of freedom. I can feel them. Anyway, that was crazy. I was kind of on a fast track to kind of the Nashville kind of CCM K-Love world, and had met with a lot of really, really good folks who really wanted to pour time and money into what we were doing. And within the span of about 4 or 5 weeks, that it all went away, which was really, really interesting. And so guys that played in my band went on to play with other really big name bands, as far in the Christian world, if you want to say that. But good guys, but it all went away really quickly. And it took me a long time to kind of, because I thought that's what I was built for. I thought that's how I had been wired, and it just wasn't. It wasn't the case. Just wasn't the case. And,
so how did you're
Yeah.
talking about when that went away? I mean, that had to be a time of questioning. I guess that's the best way to put it. I'm guessing you had a lot of questions, or one preeminent question, or one big one in your mind or heart during that time.
Yeah, I did. Like, what do I do now? Like, what, and so, like, I was, let's just call it what it is. I was thrown bones by these guys because I guess they felt bad for what, the situation that, like, because I was the lead singer in a band, and all of a sudden that went away. And then these guys were touring like crazy and making, gold records and getting nominated for Grammys. And, I was sitting in the back playing with some of these guys, but never, never doing the writing, never doing the, the stuff that I thought I was made for, And so it was fascinating to kind of take stock of that after the fact. I'll just be honest, I was a little numb while it was happening, and I don't do drugs or anything, but I was more in shock, I guess, than anything else. And I felt betrayed, I guess, if you want to call it that. And I think through a lot of that, I felt like, why would you make me and why would you let me do all these things and it be for nothing? And so, and going through that, just kind of thinking like, well, is it really for nothing? And, of course we know the answer to that. Right. But it took me, I don't know, it took me a decade, I guess, to figure that out.
Any songs come out of that time frame for you?
Oh my gosh, yeah, dude. I was pretty angry. So you probably won't hear some of those songs.
Strumming hard.
Little bit like Adam.
You know,
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, some of those songs are kind of snarky. Some of them are a little. I was never. I wouldn't say raging mad. I didn't want to go, key somebody's car or anything, But it's like me running keys down the tour bus. No, I'm not going to do
that. Well, you guys aren't getting anywhere. Here's some sugar in your oil.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm going to change their, decaf to caffeinated coffee, right? But the main point, I guess, with all that is, I'm doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing, right? A lot of those guys, man, they struggled, and I'm sure still, if they were honest, still struggle to keep their marriages together, right? I mean, that's hard when you're gone 300 days a year.
Yeah.
And not that we haven't had look, every married couple has their trouble, but what kind of trouble would I have been had I been gone, 300 days?
Well, you said this was before coming to the awareness of the Torah, right? Your understanding of that. So, one of the questions I've got like 50 things going on in my head listening. I mean, you've spit so much at us already. But no, it's good. You just succinctly hit like a whole. You went through like a whole book in 5 minutes. I don't know how you did that. But do you think that would have been a less likely or much harder truth and revelation to come upon had you gone down that path?
That's an excellent question. The underdog hero lover in me wants to think that, I'd have come out of that, spick and span, but I think you and I both know the real answer to that, right? Because I would have had to give up everything. Right. And I would have probably had to do it all at once.
Yeah.
And I just don't think I'm equipped to do that.
So you think possibly it was part of his plan to take it from you so that you wouldn't have to sacrifice it, kind of thing. And it was still a sacrifice, but okay, that's interesting. Yeah. I just wanted to get that out there.
That's a fantastic question. I absolutely believe that there were things that went on that I absolutely could have controlled and done differently to get where I wanted to go, but I was not willing to do them.
Right. Sure.
I'm talking like crazy. I'm not talking crazy stuff. But there were things that were supposed to happen that I know. In addition to that, I know Hashem pulled me out of for a specific reason.
Right.
Slammed the door in my face, and I had no clue why.
Sure, yeah, he'll keep your footsteps, won't he? You had a little bit of those forks in the road, and he kind of kept you from going down the other side.
Absolutely.
Well, a couple things here, Rob. Already, one, we already have a request for a song from Chris, and we're gonna ask you to play that here for us, if you could. But also, he just reminded me. We hit enough subscribers now that we have super chats, which means if people want, you can actually donate to Take on the World TV via YouTube if that's what you choose to do. So it shows up on YouTube that you can donate to us through that if you so choose. We've thought about actually as well putting some commercials on here because some people, that's just the way they choose to donate. That's up to you, but there's super chats on here as well if you want to donate. But we have a special request. Chris has asked you to play your kids song that you played at Take on the World. if you would. So if you want to play your kid's song to start us off, and you're laughing, but he was serious as Chris is.
Yep.
He says it's awesome. So if you want to play your kid's song for us, go for it.
Yeah. So, and I'll give you a little background before I play it. So, I was supposed to do the teen concert. This year, George was just slammed busy with stuff, and Chris and I talked and said, "Hey, it'd be cool if I took on the teen concert." I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'm there to be used, man." So, so we did it, and I show up, and there's 20 like 7-year-olds. Like there's no teens there, and I'm like.
Well, Riley's actually watching you right now. So Riley is waiting to hear you sing this.
So anyway, I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. So me and Alex were planning. I was like, dude, let's just, hem-haw around a little bit. And so this song kind of came up. And so anyway, I'm going to play it for you. This song is called Smile.
Oh, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Smile, 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 smile. Thank you for smiling. This is the most annoying song. This is the most annoying song. So sing along and smile, 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 smile. Thank you for smiling. There it
is. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, you made it for Riley, and you got fired for truth over here doing knuckles.
Awesome, Riley. That's you, brother.
All right. Well, we'll go from right into now that we got your lungs warmed up a little bit. Why don't you go right into a worship song if you want for us, and we can just join with you into worship. Originally years ago now, a couple years ago when we set out, we wanted to have music in poems and that kind of thing be a regular part of this, and we couldn't do it because of copyright reasons. YouTube had just started to really crack down. So, I mean, we couldn't even take a chance on something sounding like another song or remove us or strike us from YouTube. So we just had to nix it altogether. But this is you playing, so we can do this. So go ahead and help us. Let's do some worship.
Absolutely. Many, they rise against me, but I will hold my ground. I will not fear the war. I will not fear the storm. My help is on the way. My help is on the way. And oh my God, He will not delay. My refuge and strength away. I will not fear. His promise is true. My God will come through. Always, always. Not fear. Surrounds me, chaos around me. My soul rests in you. I will not fear the war. I will not fear the storm. My help is on the way. My help is on the way. My God, He will not delay. My refuge and strength always. And I will not fear. His promise is true. My God will come through always, always. Not fear. I lift my eyes up. My help comes from the Lord. I lift my eyes up. My help comes from the Lord. I lift my eyes up. My help comes from the Lord. I lift my eyes up. My help comes from the Lord. Oh my God, He will not delay. My refuge and strength always. And I will not fear. His promise is true. My God will come through always. Oh my God, He will not delay. My refuge and strength always. I will not fear. His promise is true. My God will come through always, always. Not fear. Do not fear. I lift my eyes up. My help comes from the Lord. I lift my eyes up. My help comes from the Lord.
Man, that was fantastic. Thank you. I tell you, that song, that took me to some places where I was really hurting at times in my life. It helped. I mean, and I can remember those words and your tone actually, being the cry of the heart sometimes. My help comes from the Lord. And sometimes you got to say those things when you're not feeling it,
Amen. And sometimes you have to sing those things when you're not feeling it.
Well, I have to sing them alone. I mean, I can't sing in front of people like that, but I do sing them alone because nobody wants to hear that. But when I sing it in my head, it sounds like you. But
look, he has a filter, man. Trust me, he has a filter, and that's why it says, the whole make a joyful noise thing like that. That's what he wants. He wants the heart. He wants the heart behind it, and it's not just this like emotional feeling thing. It's like I can't say that to him in a prayer. I can't speak those words, but I can sing them.
Amen to that. You nailed it. You absolutely just nailed it. Sometimes I remember times like at my previous house that I was at, we had a pear tree out there. I don't know what this has to do with anything with the story, but some of my songs were the old hymns out there. Mm-hmm. And I remember going out there sometimes And you're right. I didn't have words that I could say. The words were not coming, but the hymn was there, and I could sing that hymn, and the tears would flow because the heart was hurting or in need. The spirit cried out. What does the scripture say? Right? Sometimes when the words aren't there, the spirit intercedes on our behalf.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That which can't be uttered, the spirit intercedes for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he knows better than we do on what needs to be prayed for.
And it's funny that that you say that, Chad, about not being, you had to sing it. That's different parts of our brains. I don't know if you knew that. So when you speak, it's a different part of your brain than when you sing. And I found that out, listening to different bands. I always wondered why the Beatles didn't, sing with Liverpool accents, because they learned to sing to like Jerry Lee Lewis records and, crazy stuff like that from America. But it was a different part of their brain that actually registered how to sing. And I don't think that's a coincidence, I think it's another way that we get to communicate with him. And again, I don't think it's anything crazy like ethereal or anything like that. I think it's just another way that we have that we can communicate with him and with with his children.
A unification communication.
Yeah, that's a great way to put that, man.
Romans 8:26 and verse 27 also is the verse I think you were referring to there, Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to say that earlier, but I wanted to double check, make sure I get the address right.
No, that's great.
Well, let's keep this going. Do you got more lined up for us, Rob, in your little repertoire there?
Yeah, absolutely. I came with 6 or 7 for everybody tonight. So.
Well, let's just keep going. I'm gonna take.
Cool, man. Yeah. This one is by a guy out of Ireland. He's in Dublin. His name is Owen Heaslip, and he was just a major influence as far as how I got into the worship music scene. This song is off his live record from Dublin. It's called "The Father's Love." The Father's love, his closest touch, is my deepest need. All that I see, to hear his voice affirming me, speaking his truth so intimately. With every part, with all I am, Father, I worship you. I'm surrendering now to love's true call. I worship you. Your affection means more than all the world's praise. It's my life, it's my song, it's my all. Your precious love, your purest love, is my deepest need. All that I see, to hear your voice affirming me, speaking your truth so intimately. With every call, Father, I'm surrendering now to love's true call. I worship you. Your affection means more than all the world's praise. It's my life, it's my song. Father, I worship you, surrendering now. Thus and all I worship you. Your affection means more than all the world's praise. It's my life, it's my song, it's my life, it's my life, it's my song. The Father's love, His closest touch, is my deepest need. All that I see is the Father's love.
Man, that's some good stuff right there. Patricia, no, you really don't want me singing. I mean, I can harmonize with like humming and stuff. I'm real good at that, but no, I can't carry a tune in a bucket. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I can try. Here's one we can do. You ready, Rob? We practiced this a little bit beforehand. You ready? We practiced this one just right before we came on. Here's a story about a man named Brady.
All right, let's see if we can do it.
Yeah, here we go. Now we got in. Here's a story. Ready?
Hold on. Let me find the key. Give me a me. Give me a me.
Here's a story about a man named Brady.
Hold on.
Here's a story. Here's a story about a man named Brady.
That's an E flat. Give me a second. Give me a second. What am I doing? All right, here we go. Here's a story. Here we go. 2, 3. Here's a
story about a man named Brady who went to ugly girls.
You keep changing keys on me, man.
Well, I told you I can't sing in a bucket. I couldn't sing if my heart.
You're the only one that can sing here, Rob.
That 4 seconds of rehearsal we had beforehand was wasted, man.
It was perfect too. That's the thing.
What it really was. But I had fun. We had a question. Here's a question for you, Rob. People wanted to know what album was that last song and this song that you just sung on?
Sure. So that last song was on Owen Heaslip. Owen is spelled Eoghan. It's Owen Heaslip, Heaslip, and that is on the Live from Dublin record. And I'm telling you all, look, sometimes we have to put some of our beliefs in our, like, you got to take it for what it is. Okay. He's a churchgoer, he's a Sunday worshiper, all this other stuff. But there are songs on that record that I am blown away by every time I hear. And that record's 15 years old.
I have favorites like that too. There was a group. I think they made several albums, but there was only one and it had a song that came out of, and this was 15 years ago, called Burlap to Cashmere. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
Great band.
Burlap to Cashmere, and they have some of my all-time favorites on there that I'm sure that nobody else listens to today. And the one before that, what album did that come off of?
Sure. I don't know the record that one came off of, but I know the artist name is Christian Stanfill, and you can find that on YouTube anywhere. And of course, it's fully produced and great job. But yeah, you can look him up. And Christian is with a K.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if people want to know a song that I like from Burlap to Kashmir, just look up Burlap to Kashmir, Store Up Your Treasures in Heaven. Man, that song would get me fired up so bad. I mean, if I wanted to really get going, you wanted to get just really hyped up and ready to move, Store Up Your Treasures in Heaven, man. That song, I'm telling you, it's just gold. But all right, well,
they were great. They were really great.
We're joined in the chat by a good friend of ours, Rob. I don't know if you had a chance to see it. David Arthur's in the house. We got Patricia
David, what's up, man?
in the house. KC's in the
Awesome.
house. Starla's in the house. We got Kelly Belly, Kelly Jeans in the house. We got all our friends are in. Marla's here. We just got them all. They've all come to worship with you. We were talking just beforehand. It's so hard to leave Take on the World this year. I mean, it literally hurt to have to leave this year. And having you on tonight, Rob, we get to relive and remember that moment. I don't know for you, but one of my highlights was getting to sit and talk with you and to hear your story in the cabin there with you and Doug Krieger. And so, that's kind of what we're doing tonight. We're just getting to relive a little bit of Take on the World this year. I'm going to kind of put you on the hot seat here. Was there any one particular moment this year that kind of just stands out for you more than anything?
Well, I'm gonna return the hot seat back to you.
Here we go.
I was on stage like 10 times this year, so I didn't get to sit into a lot of what I wanted to. But the very first thing I got to hear was "Have mercy on me, Yeshua." And dude, I heard that and I said, and before you even said, when's the last time you prayed that? I said it in my head. I kid you not. I said, when's the last time? I literally got down on my knees and said, Yeshua of Nazareth, have mercy on me. What am I doing? Like, and so, dude, I unfortunately couldn't hear all of it, but dude, when I was listening, I said, yes, that's in a nutshell right there. That's what Take on the World is for me. It's a group of people that as good as I do that our thought processes and our beliefs, even in coming to this kind of knowledge, are scattered to the winds, man. I'm not picking on any one group or anything. That's not what I do, man. But in thinking about Take on the World, I picture it like this. Indulge me here for a minute or two. I picture it as I'm walking on a path, and I'm walking. I've got this big old bag, and my bag breaks, right? And so all my stuff's on the ground. I'm sitting there, and so I've got I've got a group of people that come by and they say, "Wow, I see your bag's broken. That really stinks." And they bend down and they hand me a lollipop and they say, "Man, this thing is the best thing ever. You should try this." And I look up and I'm like, "But my bag's broken." And they're like, "But the lollipop is sweet." And then they leave. And then you got this other group of people that come along. I'm like, finally some help. I look up, I'm trying to put this thing back together. And they say, "Man, that bag looks broken." That bag wouldn't have broken had you tied it down a little better. And maybe if you'd have walked on the left side of the road, your bag wouldn't have broken. Good luck with that. And so then this other group comes and he sees me. The leader of the group sees me from a mile away, sees what's happened. and starts breaking out this bag. And he hands me a brand new bag. He says, "Hey, here's a bag to put your stuff in. Do you want to know how to fix your bag?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to." He said, "Well, you can do that and you can keep the other bag. It doesn't matter to me, but why don't you pack your stuff up and walk?" So we walk, and I start walking with this group, and I'm looking around, and dude, some people's bags are massive, and some people's bags are tattered, and they're trying to fix them along the way. And dude, some people don't even have bags; they have their stakes they're walking with, and that's it. That's the kind of group I see take on the world, right? I see them as a group of folks that, like, look, man, no matter like how bad your bag is broken, like, we're here to help you fix it so you can get up and walk, so you can actually keep on going. I know that that's a kind of a cheesy analogy, but that's how I see what that group does, and it's really encouraging because, and I tell you, there's a lot of folks in if you want to say this movement, quote unquote, that think they have all the answers. And dude, I'm sure they do have a ton of the answers, and I'm all ears. But you know why I listen to people is when they come and say, "Hey, Rob, have you ever thought about it this way? Have you ever thought about what you're doing this way?" "No, I haven't." Why don't you think about it that way? And those are the people that I listen to, right? And so when you said, "Have mercy on me, Chad," I said, you know what? Have mercy on me. I think I know more than these people, or I think I know less than these people. It's not even about that. It's about, hey, we're walking, and it's by His mercy we're walking. It's by His grace we're walking. We get to do these things because He has mercy on us, and it's a beautiful thing. So that's my take on the world moment right there. It was just 30,000 foot broad strokes, but it was, hey, this is a group of people that they're not going to agree with everything I say or do, and likewise, but we can at least agree that, you know what, when He comes back, He's going to sort it all out, and that's going to be an incredible day, to where all the stuff that I thought was doing right, that I may have been doing wrong, I get to not do anymore. Awesome. You know, I get to say, great, and drop everything and do exactly as the King says to do, which I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want anyway, right? It's just to do what He says to do. So anyway, I hope that wasn't rambling. But
it wasn't. Why don't we worship some more? You got more worship for us?
Amen. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's do that.
Let's see here. Oh Lord, I give You all I have, but it seems so little when You have given me so much. I come to You with empty hands and a heart that's fragile. You come to me with a wealth of love. Oh Lord, Your love is new with every morning. Your faithfulness, it gets me through the night. You've been me God. You know that I believe Your yoke is easy, Your burden is light. And now I sing You songs of praise, But your greatness is beyond me. I know I cannot comprehend. Oh, how you, ancient of days, stoop yourself to call me, to be your son, to be your friend. Oh Lord, your love is new every morning. Your faithfulness, it gets me through the night. You've been good. You know that I'm weary. Your yoke is easy. Your burden is light. And oh Lord, your love is new with every morning. Your faithfulness, it gets me through the night. You've been good. You know that I will be. Your yoke is easy. Your burden light.
Man, thank you. I told you this night is going fast. Did you know we only have 8 minutes left in the stream?
I'm shocked. You were not lying.
We can actually
Again,
go a little bit longer if you want. But
yeah, we can do a couple more. Yeah.
We can. I'm just, you know, that last song. I don't know if it had anything to do with the lyrics or the words that match up or not. It just made me feel thankful. It just made me feel thankful. I'm just so thankful for brothers like yourself, our family here that's joined us tonight. I am so thankful that the Father has gifted people like yourself with the ability to help us enter into worship. I'm always amazed at people who have talents musically because I don't have them, right? I just really so appreciate that ability to help usher us in a throne, right into the throne room, right? It just takes you right there. And I just praise the Father for you, Rob. You know, and I thank the Father for you. You know, when I got to listen to you, you know, kind of just sneak into the back, and that's what you did. You helped so many of us enter in. Maybe you aren't standing on the stage in Nashville or anything else like that, but in my mind, you have done more than that because you have helped. You helped all of us that attended there come into the throne room. We had hopes and desires coming in, but you brought all that, help us get all that emotion right there. You just set the stage for everybody to come in and to be of one heart and one mind. And I so thank the Father for you. I get to say this live on the air. Thank you, Rob, for being there. Thank you for heeding his call. I'm so thankful the Father brought you on the journey you had to bring you there, because you helped me enter in and get into the heart and the mind I needed to be in to do what I needed to do. Because I listened to you worship, and I don't think I could have done and given my testimony had you not set the stage for me to go up there and do it. You helped me get in the heart and mind, because I didn't know, you know, otherwise it would have been manufactured. But your singing, your worship put me in the place where I could share my testimony. I didn't get to share that with you at Taking the World. So that's why I'm excited I got to share that with you now.
Well, brother, I appreciate those encouraging words. You know, we're all, people say the body of Yeshua is this, people, there's the pinky and there's the hand and the ankle, and this kind of stuff. And I agree with that. But all of our jobs, I think, and this is one humble man's opinion, but I think all of our jobs, we're to set the table. Like the king has invited all these people, a lot of whom he probably never would have associated with, like myself in the first place, but he's invited to come dine at the table with him, right? And he's not put out the paper plates. Like it's the fine china. Like it's the, like, we're in tuxedos, like serving these people, right? And that's our job, man. With your testimony, Ian, with your shirt that you gave us, man, we love those things. Like that's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff, man, that we're supposed to be doing. Like we're there to set the table for people to come and dine and to get to know him intimately. And that's I'm grateful for that calling on my life as well. And know that it doesn't take what I do to do that. I hope that makes sense.
Right. No, the credit's going to the Father, and we're thankful that you're doing your role. And we know that it's the Spirit doing it through you. But Rob, you could have easily quit when everything went bad. And I'm sure you went through some downtime seasons, right? There's times and seasons for everything. You know that. Sure. Chad knows that wonderfully. I'm learning that the past 5 years. But point is, you kept moving. You are a vessel, and he's doing it through you, but you still have to surrender your will to him in order for his will to be done through you, right?
Yeah, and it's not that was done without kicking and screaming. Trust me.
Sure. Well, that's the same for all of us. I mean, I'm not going to speak for Chad, but I don't think that's any different in any of the members of the body. Sure. One of the things here before Chad brings up something else, and you play another song or two.
Yeah.
I didn't want to forget this. You've been doing this for what, over 20 years, right? You've been leading worship music, and you were connected to the writers and stuff like that. I was going to name names, but there's no point to do that, right? But
yeah, I mean, they've all won Grammys, been nominated for Grammys. That all great guys. I don't have anything bad to say about any one of them.
Right. No, I wasn't saying that you were. I'm just saying that there's no point that's not point of the videos to be mentioning names and stuff like that, good or bad. We're just here to talk about your testimony, how God's moving through you and things like that. But what would you say to someone who looks at you, Rob, and says, man, he's been doing this for 20 years. I just barely know how to pick at my guitar. I want to stand up and do worship music, maybe not be the leader right away, but do some worship music at church. What kind of encouragement, what do you have to say to somebody who's looking at you going, man, how do I even walk that he's been doing? Not to get on stage with some of those big names, but to just simply do worship music.
Yeah. So I would first, and I hope this doesn't sound negative, but I would first ask the person why. Like why this? For me, it was, I don't know what else I would do. I mean, I've thought about it, and trust me, I've tried other things. I don't know. There's no other thing that I could be doing, because trust me, I would have done it. I've told everyone I worked 4 times harder at doing this than I would have becoming a doctor. Not that I have the brains to do that, but I've put in thousands of hours in doing this. So I'd say why, number one. Number 2, after you've answered the why question, I would say after the why, it's not about talent anymore. It's about treating this as something that Hashem has given to you to do. This is a specific task laid out in front of you, and you don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know what exactly it's for, but you know that right then in that very moment, you're supposed to be doing that. And I would tell people, if they're not supposed to be doing that in that serious of a vein, then there's going to come a point where it will break you. And so, I don't say that, again, not in a negative way, but hey, know why you're doing what you're doing and call it for what it is. So if this is just like, Chad is like, dude, Rob, I want you to teach me how to play a little guitar, and so I can lead my family in worship. Like, if that's the main thing, great. Let that be your main thing, right? And let that be what God has given to you. Or if your thing is, man, I just think I need to travel around to the rest stops in the world and play songs for people. Okay, but if that's your thing, make that your thing. Don't go down these little rabbit holes that are going to take your time and effort away from just make it be your main thing.
So
that's the advice I would
seek the Father on the clarity of your calling and walk therein.
Absolutely.
We asked we had a question. What was the name? What was that last song you sang?
Sure, that song is called "Oh Lord, Your Love." It's on. There was a group back in the day called Caedmon's Call. Remember those guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was on their worship record, and super good song. One of my favorites of all time. And so we turn at the church I lead worship at. We turn a lot of those songs into worship tunes. We'll repeat a verse or chorus or something here and there to get people to for it to be a little easier to sing. So you can do that with a lot of these really good, solid scriptural songs. You can absolutely do that with, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, believe it or not, Rob, our time is already up. It's gone really quick. We will have to have you on again to do some more of this. Just maybe just sit here and chat along with us. Me and Ian will talk about this, that, or the other, and then we'll let you sing to us in between. But I'm going to ask you, if you would you close out the show with just one last song, and we'll end tonight's show on that.
Absolutely.
On that worship.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody. Before I go and you don't see me again, thank you, everybody, for joining us again here, once again, on Monday night on Take on the World TV. It's always good to see your faces and be an encouragement in our chat. Be an encouragement to each other this week. Love one another. Lift each other up, not only in prayer, but in word and in deed. All right? Let's do that. And we're gonna exit tonight's show, and we're just gonna let Rob take us out.
Chad, Ian, thanks so much. You guys are awesome, and I thank the Father for you and your heart to do what you do too. So this is an older song, but it's why we get to walk the way we walk. It's why we get to follow our Torah. It's why we get to do the feast. It's why we get to have breath in our lungs. Your grace is sufficient for me. Your strength is made perfect when I am weak. All that I cling to, I lay at your feet. Your grace is sufficient for me. Your grace is sufficient for me. Your strength is made perfect when I am weak. All that I cling to, I lay at your feet. Your grace is sufficient for me. Your grace is sufficient for me. Your strength is made perfect when I am weak. All that I cling to, I lay at your feet. grace is sufficient. Your grace is sufficient. Your grace is sufficient for me. See the Lord, promised land, wherein all sins, pearly gates look glad. And what was once a burden, now it's sand that blows away, that blows away in the light of Him.